Okay.
Hello, my name is Asylum. I'm a former refugee from the Republic of Sierra Leone. In 1991, civil war broke out in Sierra Leone. I fled into exile. After 14 horrible years, I was fortunate to gain asylum into Australia. I arrived in Australia in 2006, and since then, my life has been from one level to another. And all this was possible because of the goodwill of the Australian community. I've never been so much proud and grateful to a country like Australia for giving a person like me a second chance to a better future for my life, my family, especially my children. When I reflect on the time spent in Australia, it is a Pandora box full of minerals, full of diamonds, full of golds. However, we do still have a responsibility, a duty of care towards the people we welcome into our society, especially refugees and asylum seekers. I have been fortunate enough to be a graduate of the program at the ASRC, and I'm very much fortunate to have been given the platform to share my story as a former refugee. Now, earlier I said we have a duty of care. What do I mean? As a nation, as a people, we are part of the Convention on Refugees and Asylum Seekers, but often in the last 10 or so years, Australia has shifted our focus of being a welcoming nation to a nation that put people in detention, not because they are criminals, not because they have committed any crime. I think the only crime they might have committed is choosing Australia as a safe haven to come in with their families. Is that a crime? To me, I don't think so. If it were a crime, I would be one of those victims. But I was fortunate enough to be given the opportunity to come here. And so, I believe we all as a people, as a nation, Australia, have got a duty of care towards the people that come to seek refuge into this beautiful nation. I want to extend my thanks and appreciation to the Australian community, the people of Australia, the 90% of the community that has been so positive in welcoming people like me. You have given us a chance to a second life, and we appreciate it. However, we do still have a work to complete. That is changing the mindset of the 10% who think Australia is not for all. I believe Australia is a multicultural nation that welcomes people from all sectors, from all countries. Let us work together as a community to welcome those that comes here. Thank you, and I hope we can do more than we have done in the past and more than we are doing now for a brighter future. God bless you. My name is Isaiah Lahai. I'm a former refugee from Sierra Leone. 14 years ago, I could never thought I would be in a country like Australia, but here I am today. After being given the opportunity to a second future, I was able to migrate into Australia as a refugee from Sierra Leone with my family, and that was made possible due to the goodwill of the Australian community. If I remember, one of the bedrock of multiculturalism in Australia, former Prime Minister, may his soul rest in peace, Malcolm Fraser, he said we should welcome them here. And I've been one of the products of his goodwill. I want to appreciate the Australian community for giving me that opportunity. Yesterday, when I was celebrating the graduation of my first daughter from high school, I was telling myself, is this reality or a dream? But one thing I know, Australia, we have got a whole lot of good people that are ready to do their best to promote and enhance the multicultural identities that they bring into this beautiful nation. And one thing I will encourage us this afternoon is to welcome those that come into our community. They are human beings. They are not animals. They are not aliens as we may perceive them. Queue jumpers, boat jumpers, people coming from terrorist countries. If I, coming from Sierra Leone, a country that was prone to war, starvation, Ebola, you name them, if I could be here today and I'm a living example with good results, I believe any other refugee or asylum seeker that comes to the shores of Australia seeking refuge will have the opportunity to a second future. Please, I will encourage us. Let us welcome them here. Let us encourage them to stay. Let us support them. Let us give them hope. Hope is one thing that we all need to give to those that comes into this society. There are many barriers they face. They face language barrier, they face isolation, they face post-traumatic stress disorders, they face a whole lot of things. Australia, we are better than what we are today. The history of this nation is based on welcoming people. The history of this nation is based on charity. The history of this nation is based on love. The history of this nation is based on seeing beyond what we see now. And I know if people like Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser would be alive today to see the political narrative that is happening, he'll be very ashamed of what Australia is. But it's all not lost yet. We still have got some good people within our political spectrum who can stand up and give a voice for the voiceless. And I want to appreciate this unique program at the ASRC for giving people like me another hope, a platform where I can share my story as a former refugee, where I can stand and speak to people and they're listening to me. I want to encourage young, medium, old, for us to stand together and welcome refugees. They deserve our support. We are a signatory to the 1951 Convention on Refugees and Asylum Seekers. And if we as a nation, if our government can approve the bombing of other countries, and those people are fleeing not because they want to, but because of things beyond their control, as the definition of a refugee or asylum seeker would define, if they are coming to Australia, it is our duty of care to welcome them and to show them love and to support them so that they in turn can become responsible and productive citizens of this nation. I have 5 beautiful children in this country, and as Martin Luther King would say, I hope that one day my children will not be called by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And I believe we all have a duty of care to support the next generation. Thank you, Australia, for welcoming me. Now, let me throw a light on the political atmosphere in our country. I want to talk about values, and this is specifically going towards the intentions and the practice of our politicians, whom we as a community elected into office to be a voice and to make up policies for our country. Now, if we look at individual politicians based on their values, for example, our current Prime Minister, who is a devout Christian with excellent Christian values, he loves God, he knows the values of Jesus Christ. If you ask Prime Minister Scott Morrison individually, are you in support of putting people in detention when they have not committed any crime? He will categorically tell you, no, I am not in support. But here is the thing. Our Prime Minister and many of the good politicians we have in government, they have been tied up to the policies, the values, and the tradition of their political party. And this is not allowing them to be who they are as human beings. So doing, we are faced with a country that is going from being on the right to the left. What do I mean? Our politicians are making use of the political influences and the values of their parties, especially conservatism, to do the wrong thing as they are in government. Is this going to bring good result? I don't think so. For example, let's look at the Gomba election in the seat of the former Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull. It was a safe Liberal seat, but looking at what the politicians are doing and the culture that has been planted within the Conservative Party, the Liberal Party, people are becoming disgruntled, people are becoming restless, people are now opening their eyes to the reality, and so they will prefer to choose any other person whom they believe can bring back the values that Australia was built upon. And what are these values? For me, I believe Australia was built upon values such as love, care, compassion, and these are the values that are now being eroded because of politics. Can we do better? Yes, we can do better. Can we make a change? Yes, we can make a change. How is this possible? Change comes by us, ourselves, becoming the change. When we change ourselves, our mindset, the way we think about other people, then we can help to change our nation, Australia. Now, I would love to encourage and plead with our politicians, whom majority are Christian, with excellent Christian values. Please, think about the love of Jesus Christ. Think about the love that you were born with as a child when you were growing up. Your mom and dad taught you how to care, how to love, how to be a passionate person. Think about those gun values and re-establish a focused mind to help people in need. I don't think putting children in detention is a good thing. I don't think having women who are with no husband, hoping to have a second life, putting them in detention just because of politics is a good thing. Yes, I support security for Australia. Yes, I support having safe borders. Yes, I support having a country that is free of terrorism. But can that be at the detriment of punishing innocent people who are true refugees from coming into this beautiful nation? I don't think so. Let's look at it from another angle. Those that overstays visas in Australia, they are 100+%, more than the 1.1% that is being spoken about in the media. We use the issues of asylum seekers, refugees, as a political platform for political gain. Why can't we talk about the thousands of English who come to Australia on holidays? They overstay their visas. They live in our community. We know them. Who talk about them? Nobody. Nobody talk about them. Let's think about those people. If we really want to make Australia a safe haven where nobody is allowed to come in, we should start dealing with overstay visas, who are thousands upon thousands of people that are living within our society. And nobody talk about them. Can refugees change Australia? Yes, of course. We've got countless examples of people who came from a refugee background or a migration background. They became productive, they became useful, they became responsible citizens that have brought change, diversity, and multiculturalism within our society. And I believe if we can look at those good examples and be who we are, our values will define who we are in years to come. I will encourage us this afternoon to be the people we were created to be. Thank you.
Brilliant.